boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. A lengthy post from one Dina Thorslund ahead of her undisputed title fight this weekend. We all know there's so much more to life than boxing. I would love for everyone to send their most positive thoughts and prayers to Raven, who is currently fighting the toughest battle of her life. She is a true fighter and a beautiful, incredible person with the kindest heart and the strongest values. I hope you will support both her recovery and her journey by making a donation. Thus far, with charitable donations from both Nikisa Badarian and Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren, they've been able to raise approximately $80,000 for Raven's medical fees. While she recovers, what was revealed is Dina Thorslund was at least one of the sparring partners Raven. Remember that Raven was in Denmark as a professional sparring partner, and Denmark only produces but so many boxers and but so many female boxers. So apparently she was out there sparring Dina in preparation for this weekend's fight. Dina, who said, "Right now my entire focus is on the fight and on Raven, so I'll be less available on my phone. I hope you understand. The sparring we did will not have been in vain. I'm bringing every single belt back home to Denmark and then directly to the hospital to thank her for everything. I didn't pull out of this fight because Raven is a true warrior, and I know she would have wanted me to go out there and win. This fight is for her."
Holy shit.
I tell you guys all the time that Dina Thorslund is one of the best fighters that you've probably never heard of or probably never seen in action, but she hits hard. With respect to Raven Chapman's recovery, you don't usually hear about injuries like this one from a sparring session now, do you? Usually you hear about them under the hot lights during an actual fight. It would seem that Dina was giving it her all in the gym. So she's definitely gonna give it her all on Saturday. Raven Chapman would actually serve as the ideal sparring partner in preparation for Shernika, as Shernika Johnson, the last few fights in the last few years, has taken a liking to pressure fighting, mid-range to inside fighting. And that just so happens to be Raven Chapman's calling card. She's a pressure fighter, similar in size to Shernika, maybe a little bigger. And that sort of gives it away that Dina Thorslund is anticipating a very aggressive Shernika Johnson, who she will allow to come forward as Dina picks her off on the back foot. Because I told you, Dina's not just effective coming forwards and applying pressure, she's also effective on the back foot, circling away and working off the counter. She enlists the aid of a pressure fighter to spar her in preparation for Shernika. That's because she's going to let Shernika take the lead. You want to come forward? Go ahead. I've got a little surprise for you. The press conference yesterday, Shernika Johnson was quoted as saying, "A lot of people still look at Dina as the queen of the bantamweight division. She's got something that I want, and I'm going to take that." To which Dina responded, "Good luck with that." Dina herself stated that my aim is to stop her.
Shit.
"Oh, shit is right." To which Shernika Johnson responded, "Good luck with that." Shernika's got 2 losses in the column, one to Shannon O'Connell and another to Ellie Scottney, but she's never been stopped. She's never been knocked out. I think you would be hard-pressed to find a more gutting and gritty fighter than Shernika Johnson anywhere at or around these weights, often in bloodbaths, knockdown, drag-out battles with her opponents. She's tough. But I get the impression that Dina Thorslund hiring a pressure-style fighter for sparring, she doesn't plan on toughing it out with Shernika Johnson. She's going to be the sharpshooter, picking off Shernika Johnson as she comes forward, but bear in mind that Dina is more than capable of fighting fire with fire. So if Shernika crashes the pocket and things get hairy in there, Dina can handle herself. But on the front foot or the back foot, on the offensive or the defensive, Dina can handle herself. So I'm going with Dina. Previous instances as this fight became more of a conversation, I was already leaning towards Dina to win this fight. I've always viewed Dina as perhaps the second best fighter anywhere at or around these weights, only behind Ellie Scottney. She's the only fighter that I thought could give Ellie a run for her money, anywhere at 122 or 118. I think Shernika is a great fighter, one of the best. But I also think that anything she can do, Dina can do, but better. With more power. I believe Dina wins. It's just a question of how. Does she deliver on what she said? And does she stop Shernika, who's never been stopped? Or does she win a decision? Currently, Shernika Johnson sits in the number 7 spot on the Ring IQ pound for pound list. If she wins, it's conceivable that she will move up 1 spot, as things are set to move around in what is the 2nd tier on the list. But if Dina wins, like I think she can, not only will she bump Shernika Johnson off the list entirely, she may end up in the top 5. We're gonna see how it shakes out on Saturday night, but I have Dina Thorslund winning. It's just a question of how, by way of knockout or a decision. I'm going with Dina. And now it's time for another installment of what has fast become one of the most popular segments here on the channel, Ring IQ Hate Mail! My previous video detailing Zuffa's strategy to draw talent to their platform, that they're basically doing what Ben Shalom did and DAZN before them, overpaying fighters. A guy who goes by the name Skinny Loco said, it's not the same Zuffa's doing now, overpaying promotions, don't want to get rid of the belts, but Zuffa does. So you lied. No, you lied, motherfucker, because Dana White never said that. Nobody at Zuffa Boxing ever said they want to get rid of the sanctioning bodies. What they said was, they don't want to work with them. And in some ways, they still don't. But they have since softened their stance. When they paid the sanctioning fee for Jai Opetaya's fight with Brendan Glenton, they're currently working with the World Boxing Council on Garcia versus Benn. They're also hoping the World Boxing Council will allow Noel Mikhailian to defend his title against Jai. Doesn't look like they're trying to get rid of them to me. At the very worst, they've softened their stance. They've changed their minds, and they're willing to work with the sanctioning bodies. But at no point did anybody over there ever say they're trying to get rid of the sanctioning bodies or run them out of business. That's just your interpretation of it. Because you're the liar. You're the childish one. And how would Zuffa softening their stance on sanctioning bodies and working with them invalidate what I said about them overpaying fighters? They literally are overpaying fighters. It's confirmed by Eddie Hearn that Johnny Fisher, who he used to promote, is now being paid 6 times more than his highest purse at Matchroom. He's being overpaid. Robert Garcia, veteran trainer, said that his young guys are now being paid 3 times more than what other promoters are paying. So where were you when he said that? Swimming in a bottle of Modelo? It's been reported that Conor Benn made in the neighborhood of $15 million for Regis Prograis. Were you stupid or something? You think a Regis Prograis fight is worth $15 million? Fighting that guy? Are you stupid or are you childish? Who says that he can't be both? The problem with people like this is they want to sit at the same tables that we sit, to engage in the same conversations that we engage in, not having the intellect to do so. You don't belong here.
Cállate, mamá huevo.
You're gonna accuse me of lying. How the fuck am I lying by saying that Zuffa is overpaying fighters? Everybody in the industry is saying they're overpaying fighters, you fucking jackass. Told you, the guy's childish and stupid. He's probably a liberal. As liberals more than anybody are ruled by their emotions. They think that not liking something or not liking someone, you get to make up your own story about them, your own little personality profile, except the actual facts of the matter don't align with what you're saying. I've no reason to lie or assassinate anybody's character. That's more of a liberal thing. They're not the smartest bunch, and most of what they say seldom ever pans out, and they can't see past their own emotions. You don't have to like Dana or Zuffa. But that doesn't invalidate anything I said. They are paying the most money in the industry right now. That's what the industry is saying. So who the fuck are you supposed to be? Now shifting the focus over to the Ring IQ mailbag, which is a bit more friendly. My previous live stream, we talked about how many networks the PBC was kicked off of, networks that gave them a budget, to which Lydell Frazier queried, I thought PBC actually paid up front for these slots on Fox and NBC. My memory had PBC expectations of numbers so good that those channels would have offered a deal. I've heard hundreds of times Al lost the Fox deal on several different podcasts. Was there ever a Fox deal? Yes, there was. But you're conflating the networks they actually paid for time versus Fox, who actually gave them a budget, and that was later on. When they initially get that money from Waddle and Reed, that $500 million, they paid networks like Bounce, FS1, ESPN, and I think Spike TV also. They paid them for time. And that was at the very beginning, upon the inception of the PBC circa 2015 and 2016. The Fox deal you're always hearing people talk about, that doesn't come into it until 2018, when Fox actually gave the PBC a budget to do at least 10 marquee fight nights during primetime hours on their network. That's when they gave them a budget. That's when they gave them money. And that's when they blew it. At the same time, they had just inked an extension with Showtime also that same year. So you had PBC cards happening on two major platforms, one on a premium cable network and one on a terrestrial network. The reason so many people criticize them for how they did things on Fox is because if you want to do pay-per-views so bad, reserve that for the premium cable network, as the subscribers there are actually more used to paying per view. But on Fox, a terrestrial network that reaches many more homes than Showtime, they fumbled that. They shouldn't have been doing pay-per-views on Fox because a terrestrial network as massive as Fox can get your fighters a level of exposure that no premium cable network could. Was tantamount to a megaphone that would have announced your fighters to the entirety of the country, because everybody has Fox, so it behooves you to keep those fights accessible and operational costs at a minimum, because if you don't, paywalls are going to start to go up. Less people are going to see your fighters fight. I remember it like it was yesterday. How many people were patting themselves on the back over the Spence versus Mikey Garcia numbers, not realizing that the higher-ups at Fox are not going to be impressed with a little over 300,000 buys? This is a network that caters to millions upon millions and millions of homes. That number would represent a drop in the bucket to them. Nothing. Next to nothing. Less than 0% of their overall viewership. So why were the people at the PBC so happy? Because they got to make a little bit more money on a Spence fight in the short term, not realizing what it was costing them in the long term. So you got to make a little bit more money on a fight because you build it as a pay-per-view instead of a regular fight. It's just a little bit more money, not a lot. Not for what it costed them. But just imagine if Errol Spence Jr.'s fights on that platform weren't pay-per-views. How many more millions upon millions of people wouldn't have tuned in to see Errol Spence versus Mikey Garcia, Errol Spence versus Sean Porter? They would have made a blip, such a blip on the radar, that the higher-ups at Fox would have noticed. How do I know? In 2018, Terrence Crawford had the most watched fight in all of combat sports on ESPN, a basic cable network. Cable. Remember that not everybody had cable, and on cable, he was able to bring in close to 3 million views with Jose Benavidez. So just imagine how many more viewers Errol would have been able to bring in with Mikey Garcia, with Sean Porter. I'd put the number at somewhere near 6 million, maybe more. And Fox would have noticed that you've brought 6 million people on a Saturday night to watch boxing on their platform. And you know what they would have did after that? You know what they would have did? They would have gave you more money. They would have invested more money into the PBC and their programming to get more of that content on their network, and that would have kept the PBC afloat. In the long run, if the PBC would have played their cards right on Fox, they might have gone on to dominate American boxing with a media giant behind them. But they fumbled. They fucked up. They prioritized the short-term gains of pay-per-view over a long-term relationship with Fox. That's why people always bring that up, because you can promote your fighters on a terrestrial network much better and to more people than you can on cable or than you can on an app. They fucked up. Men's welterweight news. Veteran trainer Teddy Atlas believes one big question looms for Bryan Garcia ahead of Conor Benn fight. Conor Benn enters a September 12th bout as a decided underdog against Bryan Garcia, with the WBC welterweight title at stake. The British boxer must deliver an exceptional performance to win his first title in his debut match as a Zuffa fighter. Meanwhile, the bar for Garcia is a little lower. Garcia, as both the favorite and the champion, has the luxury of the champion's prerogative, meaning Benn must beat him convincingly. In other words, Garcia can win a close fight, while Benn can leave no doubts about a victory. As Ryan will have home field advantage, the fight is happening on U.S. soil, not British soil. One of the biggest keys to Garcia's success has nothing to do with Conor at all. Legendary trainer Teddy Atlas believes that the WBC champion first needs to fight an unseen opponent. We go with the theatrics. Trainer Teddy Atlas's resume includes a list of notable figures in boxing royalty, originally known for helping train a trio of Hall of Famers in Mike Tyson, Michael Moorer, and Barry McGuigan, to name a few. In his later years, Atlas exchanged the spit bucket for the microphone as an analyst. As a result, his expertise in all around the game means he can offer an informed viewpoint. Garcia for all of his skills, his left hook and counterpunching has, according to Atlas, had his biggest enemy be his inability to control his emotions. Garcia's always been influenced, maybe more than most fighters, on a mental and emotional basis. He's very talented, but unless he is mentally and emotionally right, the talent doesn't really amount to anything special, Atlas told Canada Casino. Basically, Garcia struggles to stay out of a negative headspace. If he gets too far away from a practical approach, he will lose the fight in Atlas's estimation. While emotions like passion can elevate a fighter during a fight, Atlas sees that Garcia cannot get rattled, yet he does praise the California fighter for keeping a lid on his feelings.
What's the biggest example of that? Beating Mario Barrios?
It doesn't get used in a way where it shows itself to mean something. Garcia is probably in a better place now mentally than he had been for a while, but does he stay in that place? That's the big question with Bryan. He is very mercurial when it comes to his emotions. They are constantly shifting.
Yeah, because he's temperamental, like a woman, like a lot of young men in this younger generation.
In the press conference ahead of their fight, which will air on Paramount Plus in the US, Garcia appeared out of sorts. However, press conferences remain vehicles for selling the fight and generating interest. How much of his aggression was merely for show? And how much was actually his true feelings? On paper, Benn may be the underdog, but Garcia is the one who will need to fight more than one opponent on September 12th.
Now, what about Conor? He's got to fight more than just Ryan. He's got to fight the scale. Getting down to a weight that he hasn't made in an estimated 4 years.
That's why he's the underdog, and that's why he's saying that Ryan Garcia will likely be his final fight at 147. Conor Benn has said that he intends for his September 12th fight with Ryan to be his last fight at the weight, and that he is considering a move to 154, 160, or even 168.
That's what gives it away that he's tight at the weight. And why wouldn't he be? He hasn't made it in 4 years.
Think about it. If the guy wins the fight and becomes WBC champion, you've got potential fights with the winner of Romero versus Lopez, potential fights with Devin Haney. It's a division with a lot of names. So why would you leave?
Because he fucking has to.
He's killing himself to get down to 147. I don't think there's going to be any anti-doping testing for this fight, in spite of a WBC title being on the line. Both these guys have been caught in the act before.
Busted.
And by VADA. But you didn't hear about any official VADA testing for Ryan Garcia's last fight with Mario Barrios. There's no record of them handling the testing for that fight, and I don't think they're handling the testing for this one, because I don't think there is any testing for this one.
Conor Benn might likely be taking diuretics to get down to 147, and he might get there, though not match fit.
You don't have to overthink this one, folks. You don't even have to like Ryan to like his chances, because Conor Benn is killing himself to get down there.
That's why he's saying his reign as WBC champion, if he does become champion, is set to end before it even really begins.